Welcome to our weekly program, The Inside Story of Chabad in America through the Mindel Archives. Last week we discussed about the meeting, the minutes of the Frierdiker Rebbe and the Rebbe and Mr. Julius Stillman and Rabbi Mindel and Mr. Cowan. And now we're going to do the other minutes that the Frierdiker Rebbe asked Rabbi Mindel to write down the minutes of this conference. This is it's only one page, really. And then we'll see what happened after the meeting. The conference at the study of Rabbi Joseph Schneerson, Tuesday, June 13th, 1944, 8:30 p.m. Present, Rabbi Joseph Schneerson, Rabbi Mendel Schneerson, Rabbi Nissim Mindel, Mr. Alexander Cowan, and Mr. Julius Stillman. And then the Rebbe welcomes all the members of the conference. But I'm going to go in another paragraph. The Rebbe says that he's aware that Mr. Stillman's strong desire to throw himself into this work, however, the loss of time is truly regrettable. Time is the only thing in the world that cannot be retrieved. Once it is permitted to lapse. The Rebbe relates of some sages discussing the question of what constitutes the greatest treasure that man may possess. This is not a clear paper. One of the sages said, it is man's brains. Another says, it is man's heart. But the wisest of the men said, time and courage are the two most priceless possessions of man. The Rebbe asked Mr. Stillman if he, the Rebbe, had made himself quite clear to Mr. Stillman during the last meeting. Mr. Stillman asked the Rebbe, but if it were not too difficult for him to repeat his words, since he wished to retain them fully in his mind. Thereupon the Rebbe relates that he had known Mr. Stillman even before meeting him here in the United States, that he had known him through his correspondence with Mr. Cowan. The Rebbe states that the first meeting with Mr. Stillman at the Greyston Hotel in New York over 3 years ago in every detail. Mr. Stillman made a strong impression on him, not by his generous donation, which initiated the Pidyon Shvuim Fund and showed a fine example to the other donors. What impressed him most was Mr. Stillman's mind and heart, at most of all his inner self, his feelings. He recognized at once that Mr. Stillman is worthy to be his partner in the great educational work which he was destined to be in this country, for which purpose divine providence had brought him to these shores. However, for certain spiritual reasons, he could not reveal to Mr. Stillman the nature of the task which he wished to invest him with until now. During these years, Mr. Stillman participated in the support of the yeshivas with sizable contributions, but his true spiritual task and his soul's mission in his life lie in the field of Jewish education, and it is there that he must direct his principal interest and his utmost energies. The reason why it is precisely in this field that his primary task lies belong to the category of things which he could not reveal to him even privately. Wow. There are certain matters, continued the Rebbe, which have to be done, and there are certain matters which must be done. As to first, a person should endeavor his best to fulfill, but regard to the second, must fulfill them without fail. And in this, his soul helps him to overcome all obstacles. Moreover, the fulfillment of things which he must do helps him a great deal in the fulfillment of the things which he should have done by him, but which for various reasons did not materialize. To illustrate this point, the Rebbe used the principle of love and kindness in human relationships. It is natural that the adult should love the child, and the prosperous should help the needy. His special effort should be required to perform these simple acts of love, of kindness. However, in the case of an emergency, such as shipwreck at sea, people find themselves capable of performing acts, selflessness, which they never suspected they could. It's not clear here. In such cases, people give their very lives away to save others. Thus, every person some latent spiritual powers in addition to the qualities in which he and others are aware. Then these hidden qualities are brought into effect. Also, the known qualities are greatly enhanced thereby. Now, this is the letter, this is the meeting that they had. Now, I want to say something here. Mr. Stillman, in 1986, he was in my house. He came here pretty often. I went to visit him often in his office. He was sitting, it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. My children came from school, from Besivke, and they were running. So he asked them, where are you going? They were still in elementary school. So he said, they're going to the bathroom. So he says, why are you running? Isn't there a bathroom in your school? So they said to him that the bathroom is in the basement. It's cold, it's dark, it's wet. This was when Besivke was on Church Avenue. And they're running, they didn't go to the bathroom. Good. So he asked me, he says, I don't understand what's happening in the school. So I said that the school needs to move, but there's no money. There's no money in the school. So and they, I don't know, they're trying to raise money or the tax. I don't know exactly, but there's no money, so that's why the school is still there. He says, come to my office next morning. So I came to Mr. Stillman's office. He sat down with me and he wrote out checks to Besivke. Here are the checks. 140,000, 100,000, 100,000, 822, 30,000, 60,000, 1,000, 50,000, 100,000, quite a few checks. Of course, he didn't give me all. He gave me only some to give it to Rabbi Mindel. And he wrote a letter. Here is the letter with his signature. Dear Nissim Mindel, As you know, my contributions to Beis Rivka have been made from the start, subject to certain specified conditions which I have clearly spelled out to you. I am sending you this note to reaffirm that these conditions are still in place and are not to be changed under any circumstances. Number one, the two most basic conditions are: my contributions are to be kept in a separate special bank account over which you have sole control. And number two, disbursements from these accounts should be made at such times and in such amounts as you see fit, entirely at your own discretion. It is my hope that these contributions will stimulate others to the extent of tripling them 3-1. So his will was that Rabbi Mindel should, because he was at the meetings of the Rebbe spoke about girls' school, so he felt Rabbi Mindel is Merkez, and he wants to give money. Now, much has happened since then. Unfortunately, it was not managed the way it should have been, and sadly, till today, the girls are suffering. The chinuch in Beis Rivka is excellent. The teachers have Mesiras Nefesh. Some of them didn't get paid. The Chassidish teachers, Chassidish girls, dugma chaya for the world. But the Gashmiyas, from the time it started, I don't know why. And there was Rabbi Jacobs and Rabbi Levi. All of Sholom was the principal then, before Rabbi Golden. And there is a problem with the management. And I have to tell you this, because this is all from the Rebbe, what the Rebbe wanted at the meeting, that he should give a lot to the girls' school. Now, I want to say, it seems from all the letters, and there's more, and I don't know if Merkez knows this, the Beis Rivka is under Merkez L'Inyoni Chinuch. That means that they have to put a hanhola. They're responsible for the Gashmiyas, and I guess also for the Ruchniyas. But the Ruchniyas is Baruch Hashem fine, but the Gashmiyas they have to do, and that's why unfortunately there is problems with managing, and the teacher should be paid, and it has to be under a certain hanhola. Now we hope and pray that since we're almost by Chodesh Nisan, the time of Nisim, a month, and we have to put away all the politics and do what the Rabbeim wanted, and then Beis Rivka will be successful, Beruchnius even more, and of course Begashmius, and we should be Zeiche very soon, Bebanenu, Bibnesenu, Beskenenu, Bibnesenu, that we should go out of Golus, Mashiach Tzidkenu, Bimheira V'Yomeinu. And Mitzvah will continue next week, our weekly program.